Let's get started. We're going to be talking about the newest updates, everyone on the webinar side, on the Facebook side. Thanks for joining us. And of course, this is Adam Frank. If you need to hire him, you can just reach out to him. You can find him in the group, or he'll give you info as to how to reach out to them. But dude, tell me about the latest updates and why you're excited about them.
So the smart plan stuff is definitely something myself and Corey Prince in the group have been bugging Chime relentlessly for probably like almost 8 months, 7 or 8 months, about having them put something back that I don't think that they were necessarily aware of how it was being used. So now that it's back, everything is like poetry in motion for what I do as far as automations go. And I do have, let me share my screen. I do have some stuff mocked up here. Let me see where my, right here. I got too much stuff opened up. All right, so typically in the database here, so as people are moving back and forth between these temperature pipelines, I have nurturing smart plans that send content out to them to nurture. Okay. The problem was with the previous smart plan upgrade, they grayed out the area. I'll show you in a bit, where if you had automation in the smart plan step to change pipelines, you could not pause that same smart plan when they changed pipelines. So if you had people moving a few different pipelines, and they would be on literally every single smart plan, you'd have to manually turn that off. So I'm excited about this recent update because they put that logic back so that it will pause. So I brought up, actually what I should do is I'll go up here because they're going to take care of the other methods. So smart plans are going to be in the campaigns here, and then we're up here in smart plans. So I mocked one up here for today, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I can basically cover all three things about the smart plan update that I want to talk about here in one shot. I basically set this all up. So previously what happened was when you had a change pipeline here in the step, this was grayed out and you couldn't select it anymore. So now this is able, and you can basically have the logic where if you're using a smart plan step to move somebody to a different pipeline, you can also pause this when that happens, which is good because you don't want to stack a bunch of
that's actually really good. Yeah.
When I started designing automations, even prior to this year in Chime, this was actually this was still here, but the pipeline change was down here. It wasn't in a step. Okay. So it didn't affect anything because the logic wasn't there. So then when they put the pipeline change as a step in these upgrades, like all this stuff down here, they broke the logic here that was there. So now Corey and I convinced them to put that in. So now everybody can basically have poetry in motion again. So that's nice. Really huge. So again, just to summarize, if you have, and this happens, this operation is whether you have it automatic in a smart plan step here, or whether you manually move somebody out. So it'll work. Basically, if pipeline A to pipeline B happens manually or automatically through automation, okay, the plan that they're on now, so this one here is going to pause and basically shut off. So beautiful. If you don't want to have a bunch of stuff going on at one time, you want them to only be accurate on whatever pipeline smart plan you have, go in here to your smart plans and make sure this is checked. Okay. The other one here that's really big is this carbon copy to family members. So when you're doing the auto email step, there is going to be a box when you pop this open here. There's going to be a box by default. You just check that, and everybody, if they're in the lead, in the primary lead, and they have family members with email addresses in there, this smart plan email is going to get pushed to everybody in that, sub account essentially, which is awesome. A lot of people have been waiting for that. This is so huge. And then the last thing that's pretty easy to cover is the timing. We know that Tuesdays and Thursdays between 9 and 11 and 1 to 3 are the optimal open rate times. Yep. So when you have a delay in hours or minutes, you now have this within time period. So you can basically have this set up, wait an hour, but I only want you to do that. I only want you to send this out during the normal waking time. So you don't have emails and stuff going out at like 4 a.m. and, upsetting people that are sensitive to that kind of stuff. So this is really huge because it gives you more control over precisely delivering the content that you want when you want it to be delivered. And you can even put this down. So this is basically going to be in like a 1 hour block. So you can do, let's say if you want to set this out between, wait an hour after something happens. So when this triggers, you're going to send an email an hour after the trigger applies, but you only want to send it between 8 and 9 in the morning. You can do that. So
which
this
is actually
really good.
a really good idea. Just pick, you did it right then.
Yep. So then you basically target that. And what I like to do is in some of my plans, I'll have an email go, and people just get blasted with emails, which is why I prefer text. But what I'll do is I'll have the email here, and I'll have that set for 8 to 9. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take a page out of your book, and I'm going to do an auto text as kind of a nudge. And I'm going to put some information there, and I'm going to do it where I'm going to wait like 30 minutes. I can do like a wait 30 minutes, or I can do wait 0 days, put a specific time. So I want to put this in here at, let's say 8:30. So they have an email that goes out between 8 and 9. And then assuming they don't respond, because people will get bombarded with emails, basically a half hour later, using this here, I can say I want to text exactly at 8:30 in between that window, so that there's another tactic where you can either do it this way, or you can do, wait 30 minutes and still put it in within that time. This one here, you don't have to mark, because this right here has your capture for that timeline. So this is only going to get sent out between 8 and 9 in the morning, and basically at 8, waiting 30 minutes, this is going to be 8:30 that same day, so that you kind of have it. So this is really neat if you have, like I had a smart plan for a while there that I was testing on business people, and I figured out when they took lunch, and I would target this communication so that I would basically hit them up for a phone call right before lunch. So essentially, as they're packing up their desk to go to lunch, they have communication, email and text to me, trying to get them on the phone, so that as they're walking out to and I set appointments with them as they're walking out to their vehicle for lunch. And by the time they get in the car, we're meeting at 1 p.m. for 3 to list the house.
Nice.
So take advantage of this kind of stuff.
Dude, it's all about timing. They tell you timing with social media, right? There are certain times that you should be posting because you get better success. Well, there are certain times you should be reaching out to people by email and text, because you will get a higher response ratio.
And speaking of social media, one of the things that just, it completely blows my mind and makes me laugh every single time is because when you look at the data for social media activity, a vast majority is between like 7 and 4. Like everybody's doing this stuff at work. And it's so intertwined in our daily activity and schedules. But it's just, I love that where it's like, well, what if they're at work? It's like, dude, they're on Facebook at work. They're on Instagram.
I mean, that for sure, hands down, you are right. And the other part to this is both for responding to things like this and social, it's usually they're in bed. And if you're a couple, you're in bed on your own phones, chilling. And if you find something, you're like, hold on, look, right? That's exactly why. Because, dude, I did the same thing when I was purchasing my new home. I was in bed. My wife was on Redfin. I was on Chime. I'm like, honey, you should get on the Chime, on my Chime site. Like, no, I just like Redfin. Okay. Well, she still ended up using me, so that's good. But look, we're still together, and I'm like, check this one out. But that's where it happens, man.
Yep. And it's like when you're doing video things, subtitles are absolutely critical, because like I rarely have I live alone. I rarely have the actual media sound on my phone, because I usually have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Like I want to watch things, but I also want to read stuff. And a lot of times too, when people are talking super fast, and I can give a 16-year-old a challenge with my speech, but like it's better when you have subtitles, because like you said, late at night, like you have no idea when these people are going to open these emails. You can kind of see, and a lot of emails are open. Like I think Sunday at 9 p.m. is another good one for email delivery, because everybody, they're checking their email before kids are in bed. They're checking their email to see what kind of BS they're going to be dealing with on Monday. And at night, they don't want to wake the kids up, so they have the sound off, and they don't want to have it low. And it's just, subtitles, or even with the sound, subtitles. Like my girlfriend and I, we watch TV with the subtitles on all the time, especially when we watch British shows, because a lot of times we just can't catch what they're saying. Things like that. Yeah, subtitles are huge, and subtitles are huge in video. But anyway, so next thing I want to cover here a little bit is the transaction stuff. I know a lot of people in the group were just screaming and throwing fits about it for good reason, and it's continuing to be built out. So like, I don't work for Chime, but on behalf of Chime, thank you everybody for being patient with this. When they initially started building this module out in the system last year, the help article was basically like, hey, like we know that there's certain things that we want, but we have to get the logic in place first and then build on that. We got to get the foundation. So the foundation is there. Now we're putting the walls up. The roof is going to be on the next time. We're going to get some windows and doors in. Like, be patient, keep giving feedback. And real quick, feedback and request, this question mark up here, and then submit a ticket. That's where you go. And what I do when I do that is in all caps, because I love to shout. In all caps, just so it stands out and gets routed to the correct people within the Chime world. I put in the subject of the email, I put feature request in all caps, and then mention what it is, right? So feature request, transaction module, and then in the body of the email message, I just type out what my suggestion, send it there. That way it'll get routed properly, and it kind of stands out with the feature request in the subject line. So it's not like a normal help thing, like, hey, there's, I got a glitch or something like that, or the home prices aren't showing up, or, that kind of thing. So utilize that. That is the best, most efficient way to get done what you want to have done. So,
what a great little hack. I love that, because it'll stand out. And then Walter's asking, Walter, good question too, buddy. So does Chime send emails and texts at optimum times, or is that up to us, Frank?
That is up to the agent.
All right, perfect. And Adam, we should do something along the lines. I wonder if the back end of Chime, now this is a question that we should ask like everybody on the back end of Chime. Do they have all the optimal times just based on what all the agents have used? You know what? I'm gonna text.
They might do. So what I'd like to do, oh no, I'm in the wrong one. Recording. So what you can do is go into your graphs here, and then come here to the activity by hour, and you can get, this will give you a pretty decent idea. So like Tuesday at noon, I had 7 people. Cool. So you can kind of see where your map is in timing, and you can cross-reference that by going to your activities field, and then you can do open email, and you can look at the subject line and tell, this was a smart plan one here, okay? Price reduced, this is all property information here. This is a smart plan here. So you can tell which ones of these, so I can see all these emails. So they're opening things here, and when you click on this to see the detail, it will show you the time. So it's kind of a roundabout. You got to kind of put some legwork in there, but you can see that. So essentially just about, I believe this is going to be the sent time, but you can at least kind of get an idea of when these are going to be sent out. So like when I do my auto property alerts here, I put everything in the morning.
Okay.
I do daily in the morning. And I only do basically I only want to show them the stuff they can write an offer on. I do the same thing for that, in the morning. I like emails I believe these also go in the morning too, but I set everything for the morning because I want them to get it early. You never know if they're checking email with coffee.
True.
In there, and also using the buyer match for the listing here. So when I do my like when I get somebody that is like super hot, where they're pretty much like with my referral, pretty much like when I refer people out, I basically come in here, I set a hot sheet for them, and then I click on this view buyer match here, And then
Okay.
I will select their name, say, hey, this is Dan's, hot sheet or whatever. Okay, and I send them a text for that to
Got
basically
it.
say, and I'll change up sometimes I'll change this up here. So I won't, typically I'll take the address out because I want them to have to go there, because the address at this point doesn't matter. It's just nonsense.
True.
But sometimes the psychology, if they recognize, if they saw the email and there's Trailwood Drive or whatever, and then I said, man, you need to check out this Trailwood Drive. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, I saw the email about that. Okay, well, maybe I need to take a look at this. If he's reaching out to me and saying, dude, you need to look at this Trailwood, it's got that fireplace that you wanted, that's not painted, it's original, whatever, like you just have that message in the text. So this is really good, and it shows, I know Brett talks about this a lot, it shows that you're actually doing something instead of just, trust me, I love automation, I'm known for automation, but actually putting in effort and personalizing a message and going through and saying, hey, look, this one person, okay, Teresa, even though she's not ready, she's outside of 90 days, there's 4 matching factors. Maybe this is something enough to where, you know what, this is a perfect house for her. And maybe this is something where, okay, well, you know what, maybe I can move my timeline up a little bit. You never know until you actually reach out and just do things. So that's a good tactic. I think
that's a really good point that I want people to understand at all levels. Here, my agents here, we help out people at all price points. And the one thing that gets people locked into us a lot quicker is the feeling to the client, right, to the lead, that we're actually taking the time to search for them because they feel like we care about them. They're not getting this generic email saying, hey, here are the properties for the day, because everybody sends that. If it feels to them that you're taking the time to identify the right property, say, hey, I found this one, all of a sudden to them, it stands out and says, oh, whoa, Adam's actually taking the time to find, that's different. And we do that all the time.
The strongest brand you can ever have in any business, I don't care if it's vending machine business or real estate or whatever, the best type of brand to portray and maintain is that your clients matter, period. If they do not get that sense from you, you're not going to have a business. You probably don't even have a business, but you're not going to be in business for very long if you don't portray and maintain that your clients matter to you.
Well, dude, that's it. And I just texted Joe Chen. He's the CEO of Chime.
Yep.
And I said, Joe, I'm talking to Adam right now, and we need some data that shows best times to text clients. He's like, I'm checking right now. So
nice.
He's checking to see if we have all that info.
Yeah, I met Joe a couple years ago when they flew me out to Phoenix for the Mastermind Summit. He was pretty cool. He's pretty down to earth. He's one of the most humble people I've ever met. So,
right?
Like, and I know Glenn Stamper. Like their demeanor is like they're just so super chill. So, but anyway, so in the transaction stuff, I want to kind of cover this a little bit. I kind of did. I'm going to move the faces over here. Kind of did a few things. So a few things that I want to cover is more about like the organization of this. So when you look at your pipelines, I'll pull it up in the thing here. Pull up in the pipelines. These are essentially the pipelines of where they're a client when we're actually doing things in person. It can and probably will benefit you to take a good amount of time and make sure that your client area pipelines here match with the transaction steps in the transaction module so that you have that continuity. Another trick that I do is I created groups that are the same as the transaction steps. And the reason I did that is because if we're out in the field and we're on the Chime app or we're on mobile somewhere, and we get a notification email, hey, here's the home inspection report. we can't access the transaction module from the Chime app. Okay, so which is fine. It's totally fine. Really unnecessary in my opinion. But so what I did is I created on my people page, I went in and I created groups that match up with that with those steps, so that when I'm out in the field and I have something come back like, hey, the appraisal's done, everything's good to go, we don't need to negotiate, we don't need to cure the price for the seller, everything's good to go, we're moving on. You can quickly add that lead into that group in the field to mark that operation is done. And then when you come back into your desktop, you can go to that lead and basically catch everybody up in the transaction module. So it's kind of an alternative to tagging, and it's a group, and you can, in addition to having multiple tags, you can have multiple groups. So if you have just a bang up job, let's say, inspection's done, there's nothing to negotiate, financing is just, everything is like a slam dunk, you get like everything happening in one day, you can add somebody to a group or 3 groups right in the field. And when you come back to the transaction module, then you can catch the transaction up based on those groups and still have that for reference. Then once you close the transaction, pull all those transactional groups off, clean up the lead, put in some notes, and you're good to go. So that's why I did that. So it may be a little bit too much for some people. I am super into details, so I don't mind that kind of stuff. I'm always trying to figure out, like, I don't want anything from the field not to transfer into my database. Because my perspective is, if it didn't happen in the CRM, it never happened. So what I did, and it took me a while after they did this Kanban situation here, it took me a little bit to figure this out, because I'm like, well, I know I can do like custom stuff, like where the hell is the button? Well, you have to be on this list view here, the 3 bullet points and lines, and then the settings wheel shows up. So if you struggle to figure it out, it took me a while to figure that out. So this and you have to be on, you can create custom ones for each tab here. So on the purchase, the same thing with the transactions, so, or the checklist.
Dude, they should make that little gear, the little cog, they should make that a whole different color.
Yeah,
so many people miss that.
They should make it Chime blue or something,
or red. That's the only red thing here in the whole thing. People would spot it.
Then you click on the customized transaction, and this works just like the pipeline creator. So you can edit, just delete, save, and it will change it in real time. And then you can also add, and you can just type and click OK, and it'll add it down below. And then you can drag and drop and move these all around, click save, and the Godly book is right here. So very, very similar to the pipeline creation stage. If you have access to that, your broker team leader might have turned that off for agents and stuff like that. I do on mine because I don't want anybody else messing with the stuff. So that's where you go to do that. And like I said, purchase, listing, lease, and any other kind of transaction. Like I just made one up for referrals and stuff. You can do this, maybe use this for like DPOs or something like that. But that's where you do that fun stuff. And then the Kanban here, this came up earlier. You can kind of scroll and kind of see exactly what's going on with everything. I got to move him. He already closed. I got to move him, but I want to run him. He's kind of like my test dummy. I want to run him through the actual transaction stuff. So I got to do that. But that's pretty much there. The major update here was the checklist, the roles, and the fields. So on the settings wheel and under transactions, you got transaction roles here. And this is going to pull from, you got some system ones here, and then vendor partners that you create. So this is just like a test, like home inspector one.
Okay.
Listing specialist, buyer's agent, all that kind of stuff that's created in the system. When you go up here into agent, and then you've got agent roles, and you can create different ones here. So that's where all that stuff is. The custom fields are going to be used in the steps of the transaction for dates. So if you're going to do like a photography date, if you're going to accept an offer, listen, some of the language here you're gonna find is like the default language in here from the drop downs is going to be maybe a little bit different than what people actually use. I know a lot of times, like some people, they say, well, we're in escrow. Other regions, well, like we're under contract.
Yeah.
We haven't accepted offer. It all means the same thing. It's just different nomenclature for everything. So use what fits your business.
Adam,
yes.
We got 1 minute left. So what are you most excited about overall?
So I like these date, I like the date names that we can customize. And we finally have the additional agent, an additional role that we can assign transactions to, or like transaction steps to. So I know that was huge. And the other thing is the drag and drop, we can move it to different stages. So if we say, you know what, I want this to be right here.
Oh, yes,
I can do that.
Yes.
So that if we kind of goof up and say, oh, you know what, I didn't really want that to be there, or these are out of order, you just do that.
I love that, dude. That's cool. All right. Only question here. Adam Petty says, hey, Adam, from Adam. I noticed that Chime is a primary sponsor for Club Wealth in Texas. They're going to be in Texas in a couple of weeks. Are you going to be there, Adam?
No.
All right. Well,
I'm
that's
going to be. Yeah. No. I don't do. Yeah. I don't do anything. I don't do anything with Club Wealth at all. I am an agent with EXP, and we have our convention like the second week. I think it's like November. I'm going to be there
November,
on the 6th, but it's like November, like
November something to around the 10th.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I'm going to be talking about my automation stuff there. I believe Randy's going to be out there. Randy Carroll's going to be out there. So at EXPCon, I'm going to be around. You're going to get sick and tired of me talking about Chime there, which I don't care. But I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there for like a full week. So if you're going to be there, you're with EXP, come find me and talk to me about Chime. I love it. So, but yeah, I'm going to be speaking. I'm going to be doing I'm scheduled for like a 45-minute gig with Randy Carroll, talking about my 98% automation on my back end. So I'll be talking about there. So find me, tackle me,
right, buddy.
Do whatever.
And then look, you can always find Adam in the Chime community.
Yep.
So if you're not on there, go on Facebook. Adam, thank you so much. What areas do you cover if you need referrals?
So I'm in the Fox Cities area. So I'm in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I cover from Oshkosh to Green Bay. No, I don't watch the Packers, by the way. I'm expanding next year. I'm expanding my business to Florida, starting in the Tampa Bay area. So
I love it, dude. Thank you so much for being on again. You rocked it.
Yep.
If you have any questions, reach out to Adam Frank. He does have the whole automation thing, which Adam, I need to talk to you for like 5 minutes sometime today. So I'll hit you up.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody.
You bet. Take care.